My channel, or if you've been here before, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about an appliance, and it's funny, ironic, because I was driven out here by two appliances, my washer and dryer, which are quite musical in the kitchen. So I said they probably would rather hear the birds and everything and my neighbors coming home. So I figured I'd do it out here. But anyway, our dishwasher, we had it for a number of years. I want to say about 5, 6 years. It wasn't even that long. But anyway, it broke. And I think it broke around the 19th of May. And here we are. It's the 1st of June. I think that Tuesday is when we're getting the new one from Lowe's. We also are two people that, since we're, people don't, we try to be frugal. We said, well, why don't we see if we could make do without it? So, and which would not have been all that impossible, because I probably use my dishwasher about 3, maybe 4 times a week, and the rest of the time we wash. So it would have been okay just to wait on it. But it was around Memorial Day weekend, and we said, well, we're going to get some sales, so let's go out there and see what they got. And we got one that was kind of medium price, not too expensive, not too cheap. So I'm looking forward to it. It has like 47 decibels, which is great. Anyway, going back to, I digress. I'm a person who came from no dishwasher. As a matter of fact, I went to look up when the dishwasher was invented, and apparently it was invented in 1850. And the earliest dishwasher, you had to crank it and it would spray water across the dishes. I think I had the next model up. Because this thing was hilarious, because it worked pretty good for the first year, and right after the warranty, isn't that the way it works, after the warranty wore off from the manufacturer, it started to be so loud, but so loud. I don't think I've ever heard a dishwasher that loud, because we've been in VRBOs and stuff, and I've never heard one like that. So we kept saying to ourselves, oh man, we can't wait until this thing dies and we can get a new one. Well, that's what you say, but then when it really happens, it's another story. Keep in mind too that in my household when I was growing up, my mom and my madrina, who often shared an apartment, madrina means godmother, she was also my aunt, they didn't have dishwashers. These were the dishwashers, okay? And that's all we had. And for years and years and years, when we first got our first house in Union City, this was probably in the 80s when my kids were young, maybe early 90s, my husband said to me, do you want to have a dishwasher? I'll buy you a dishwasher. He said this quite a few times. And I said, nah, I don't really need one. And besides, I'd be giving up my space, my cabinet space. No, I don't really want one. So by the time that we came down here to North Carolina, we first moved into an apartment. We figured we wanted to take time before we bought the house, and it had a dishwasher. And I had to call my niece to ask her how to operate this thing, because I didn't even know how to work it. All told, I've had 3 dishwashers. I had that one, and I had the one that came with the house, and then this one that replaced that one. But before it died, my dishwasher, and after it died, my dishwasher kind of taught me some lessons that I thought would be worth teaching, would be worth sharing with you. And they're not anything new, but they were things that were demonstrated because of the dishwasher. The first thing that I learned is that just because something isn't perfect, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. Okay, maybe my dishwasher was loud and sometimes it was kind of unpredictable, like you couldn't always judge how it was going to, sometimes like it didn't totally get the top dry, or sometimes you had to redo things on the top, but for the most part it worked. And it was either a dishwasher that is kind of crazy or no dishwasher. So, and then the same thing applies to other things in life. Maybe a relationship with someone, maybe just your job, or maybe you think even about yourself sometimes, because it's not perfect, it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. It doesn't that it has a purpose. And that was true of this dishwasher. Even though it had my daughter-in-law's parents, who are friends of ours now because we've known them for so long, they came over and they were having dinner with us. And right after that, my my husband puts on the dishwasher, and they're sitting in the dining room, and Jessica's parents say, "What is wrong with that dishwasher? That's going to cause a fire." And Bill said to them, "No, I looked it up and it's fine. It's not going to cause anything. It's some kind of mechanism. They said it wouldn't cause a fire. It's just loud." And they said, "Okay, well, have at it." And it was true. It was fine. But anyway, just because something isn't perfect doesn't mean that it's not a failure. The second thing is to take care of what you have. Again, I am a novice at dishwashers. This is only the third one that I've owned, and hopefully this will be the last one that I own. But I didn't know that you needed to clean the dishwasher. I figured, oh, it's getting cleaned all the time. It's not like, you have to clean the filter of the washer. No, you have to actually take care of that too. And the way that we found out was because the dishwasher, after several years, started to smell weird. It was like, oh. And so we looked it up and we found out, yeah, you have to clean it. There's things that you can buy for it. There's, you can use vinegar. You can use, I think it was baking soda too, or like this little thing that you put into it that you pay for. But we actually would go in there and actually clean it, take out that little part that, be careful, I'm plugging, I'm taking it apart, but I mean the inside where, that disc is and the arm is and all that. We would clean that out periodically because it needs to be cleaned, and no more smell, and it was fine. The same thing applies with everything, and our parents did that. Our parents took care of things. They didn't, we've learned that not to just run out and buy something, because you just take care of it. There's certain things that could be fixed. This dishwasher was pretty much on its legs, last legs, so we said no at this point. But you take care of what is yours, and it will last you better. It will, even when it comes to a car, you keep the maintenance up on the car. And I always tell my kids too, if you maintain it a little bit beforehand, before it needs to be maintained, you're not going to get hit sometimes with this surprise. By the way, you need 4 tires, and which kind of happened to us as well. But if you take care of what you have, then it will last you longer, even when that is loud. The third thing that we learned is that big appliances, and you probably know this, big appliances break at the most inopportune time. Just like your car needing something, or your house needing something. This is coming on the heels of having to replace our refrigerator last year. Not a picnic. That's a big expense, and we think that, they should, I don't know, my parents had, my mother and my aunt had a I think it was just a Kenmore vacuum cleaner, and I don't remember her ever buying a new one. She had the same one for years, but anyway, big appliances, like my friend found out when her washer broke, and then she had to get a new one, and they always break at the most inopportune times, and it's an expense that we don't want to have to make, but sometimes it has to be done, and it happens to everybody. It doesn't mean that you're not taking care of something, and you're not, because you do take care of things, but eventually it's just gonna go. It's just a thing, and it's not going to necessarily last for your whole life. So, but it's difficult when it happens, and it's financially difficult, but we kind of see these expenses that are unexpected, and they can throw us off sometimes. At least it threw me off a bit, because the dishwasher broke right after I saw that I had a bill from the hospital for a while ago. So that was the third thing. But now the fourth thing kind of ties into it, and that is 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's always like that. You think that you're getting ahead. You think that you're being frugal. You think that you're being wise with your expenses, with your finances. And then all of a sudden, something hits, something like this. And now all of a sudden you have to decide, well, like we did. We debated it. Well, should we get one now? We could probably wait till next year. This and this and this. We could just wash. And sure enough, we have gone these last, I guess, 2 weeks or so, just washing our dishes. And it's been fine, even with my kids coming on. And I have to give kudos to my husband because he'll go over and he'll try to get ahead of me and wash the dishes for me. So, and I'm just like, okay, okay, you try. I like to wash. But that happens. We think that we have everything good, and it's okay because it happens to everybody. We sometimes think to ourselves, at least that happens to me sometimes. I'm like, oh, trying to do a good job and not overspend, and trying to make the most of the budget that we have. But a lot of times it does feel like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. It just will happen. Sometimes we had issues earlier in our marriage where he lost his job, and then he got a job, and then I lost my job, and so all of this was always going back and forth. And we had 2 kids that we were raising, so it happens. You're not alone. A lot of people just do that little dance of 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But all the time, and I'm gonna give kudos also to the Lord. The Lord has always supplied all our needs, and we've always come through it. So it's just a matter of being patient, to being taught patience when dealing with that, and still don't let it deter you from continuing to do that good job. And that brings me to number 5, which is it's okay to go without for a while. Now, that might not apply to certain things that are absolutely necessary, your refrigerator, for example, but there are things that you can do without, at least until you're able to afford them. We've been conditioned by consumerism to believe that we have to have this and we have to have it now. But that's not the way that the older generations lived their lives. If they were not able financially, because at that time too, like in the time of our grandparents and our parents, it wasn't so prevalent to go charge something. And for example, my mom lived. We had to make do on her salary sometimes as a hospital housekeeper. So we just didn't have that much savings that we could draw upon, and so we had to do without sometimes until you were able to buy something else, and that's okay because that's where resourcefulness comes in. There was a period during which I didn't have a car back in New Jersey, which is a little easier to not have a car in. At least that part that was close, that was in the city. To be out for a while, I had to take taxis. I had to use the bus. I had to find other ways. Maybe sometimes someone would offer a ride. Um, but sometimes you have to enjoy washing dishes by hand and having conversation, or maybe even quiet time. I've done that too. And this is the last one. The last one is to appreciate what you have when you have it. The Bible in 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you." And I always stop and I think to myself, you know, I have many blessings, and they're not just in possessions, but they are in the more important things, which is loved ones, a husband, children, grandchildren. And sometimes you just have to sit back and really just appreciate, and be it even if you aren't a Christian, to have a spirit of gratitude for what it is that we have. Again, going back to consumerism and minimalism, we've kind of been conditioned also that, well, we could just go buy a new one. Well, it's fine. Well, the phone needs to be replaced. My phone almost had a problem this week, and I was dying because I did not want to replace my phone. I like my phone. I want to keep it for a while, you know. But we've been conditioned to do that rather than to be grateful for what it is that we have, and to appreciate it. So, it taught me that I kind of miss the fact that I had it there when I needed it. Like I said, I don't use it all the time, but if I wanted to use it, it was there. I think that also applies even more deeply to other things in our lives that are of much, much more value, and things that cannot be replaced. A pet, a loved one. So that's my video for today. I hope that you have enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed doing it. I've been doing my laundry in the meantime, in the middle. And I hope that you, if you liked my video, that you'll like it. Consider subscribing. It helps my channel. And I will catch you on the next one.